Boring, boring. Why is Alien so boring? So Alien Covenant is the latest installment in the Alien franchise. And first of all, I don't even know what a covenant is. I know it's got something to do with arcs or some shit, so I had to go look that shit up. And apparently a covenant is some kind of a contract or an agreement. So for those of you who didn't know, and I'm sure there's a lot more of you out there, that's what it is. And too bad I didn't have a covenant to break this contract because I want my money back after watching this movie. So Alien Covenant takes place 10 years after the happenings of the film Prometheus, which I actually really enjoyed. And just to kind of refresh my memory, I watched it again with my wife the night before because she had never seen it, and again on second viewing I still really enjoyed it. Yeah, it definitely has its shortcomings for sure. There's lots of flaws in it, but still overall I enjoyed the story, I enjoyed the concept, and I enjoyed the acting and the direction by Ridley Scott. And director Ridley Scott, of course, he's a Hollywood legend. He's been around forever. I mean, the first Alien was nearly 40 years ago, if you can believe that. So he's been around for a long time, made many great films, but recently, the last 10 years, I feel like he's been more missed than hit. I did enjoy Matchstick Men a lot. American Gangster was really good. I enjoyed Prometheus a lot, which I just said, but I thought The Martian was just horseshit. Exodus, Gods and Kings was boring as hell. So Ridley Scott's resume of late hasn't been the greatest, but he's returning to a franchise that he created with the original Alien film in 1979, and then building up on the story that he introduced in Prometheus back a few years ago. So I was looking forward to this film. So let's start with the story, because if you're gonna be adding a film to an established franchise, there should be a reason for it, and it should tie in to the lore, if you will, of the universe that you've created. Now, there were like 4 Alien films back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, I believe, and then Ridley Scott came back and did a prequel with Prometheus, which introduced this new backstory to how these aliens and also humans were created. I thought that was very fascinating. It was very well done, and I was really intrigued by this story about the engineers and how it all happened. So I was expecting Covenant to build on top of that and kind of tie in Prometheus to the original Alien film, but it does none of that. It contributes absolutely nothing to the whole Alien universe. It brushes away the whole concept of these engineers. I mean, they're basically thrown away and made useless and forgotten. It's basically the same setup as Prometheus if you think about it. You have a group of people, they're in a strange land, a few of them get isolated, there's a big storm that separates one group from the other, someone gets infected or infested or whatever, they get back on the ship and shit happens on the ship. I was very disappointed that this movie, The Covenant, could not bring anything new to the table, and it comes off as just another cash grab movie. There is no reason for this movie. It adds nothing to the Alien universe. You don't learn anything from it. The story is boring as hell. It just plods along and plods along with no direction. It's all leading up to this revelation at the end, which is by no means a surprise. If you've seen at least one movie in your life, you can see that coming from a mile away. So the story is just a flat-out failure. It introduced nothing special. It wasn't interesting at all, and it was just a very unnecessary story to add to the franchise. So there's that. Enough for the characters. You know, you can have a boring story, but if you have interesting characters to help execute that story, it really goes a long way to making the film a lot more entertaining than it could be. But in Covenant, every single character, except maybe for Michael Fassbender, they're just very unmemorable. You don't give a shit about any of them. I mean, there were times on screen where they would show a close-up of a certain character, and then I have no idea who that is. Is that the pilot? Is that one of the soldiers? Is that a scientist? I have no fucking clue, because they take no effort in giving these characters a story or making you care about them. So they just become alien food from that point. I mean, you don't care. Like, you just watching your clock, waiting for the alien to get to that guy, eat that guy up. So the characters are super forgettable. You don't give a shit about any of them, so another failure there as well. Now, Ridley Scott, I keep ragging on him because I expect more from him. If you have an established director who has a really good reputation, of course you have higher expectations for their product, and that's what I expected out of Ridley Scott. But this film, it has got to be one of the worst that he's ever made. I swear, it's that bad. Besides the story, besides the characters, which I've already talked about, everything else in the direction and the execution is just so shitty. The CGI, for one thing, it looks so bad. I'm serious. The CGI is just terrible. There are some scenes where the alien, it just looks like a fucking cartoon. It looks like it's from a totally different movie. I mean, you can tell that this alien is not in the same room with these human actors. I mean, it's that obvious. The CGI is horrible. And then you have the editing and the action scenes. It falls prey once again to that quick cut editing. You can't tell what the hell is going on. Of course, a lot of it happens in the dark as well, so that doesn't help. But that wasn't really a problem in the previous Alien films where the action was executed very well. This time around, oh man, editing is just, it will give you a headache. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what the alien is doing to the human when they're attacking them. Editing is just horrendous. So the action is very poorly done. So that takes you out of the movie as well. You know, the appeal of the Alien franchise is the horror slash sci-fi element. If you don't have that element, then it's not an Alien film. This movie, the horror element, zilch. There are no moments where you're like, no, nothing like that. Sci-fi element, again, like I said before, nothing is added to the alien lore, the alien universe, so the sci-fi element is missing as well. So what you have is a film that basically has no purpose, it has no meaning, and it has no entertainment value. And there's this one scene, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. They actually have a shower scene where the alien comes in and kills these people. And it's not a spoiler, I mean, you're not gonna give a shit about these people anyway, so don't even worry about it. But I'm like, when I saw that scene in the movie, I'm like, are you serious? Are you really ripping off like any cheesy Friday the 13th movie right now? I mean, is that the best you can think of for a kill scene for this alien? It was straight out of a bad 80s horror film. I mean, that's the kind of shit that goes on in this movie that just totally took me out of the film. So overall, Alien Covenant, the story is shitty, the characters are forgettable, the action is poorly done, the CGI is horrible. It adds absolutely nothing to the Alien franchise. It actually brings down the reputation of the whole franchise if you ask me. There's no point to this movie, it's just a pure cash grab. So Alien Covenant gets a 3 out of 10. Thank you for watching, everyone. Please leave me a comment, let me know what you thought about the film, and also please make sure to subscribe to my channel as well. I'll have a new movie review up every week, so come back to my channel next week, alright? Thanks.